Okay, so picture this. A massive city, one of the biggest in the ancient world, just thriving. It's a powerhouse of culture and influence for centuries. And then poof, it vanishes. All that's left are these giant pyramids and a mystery so deep, we don't even know what the people who lived there called it. Today, we're diving into the incredible, enigmatic world of Teotihuacan.
Just look at this view. This is the main drag, what we call the Avenue of the Dead, and it leads straight up to the Pyramid of the Moon. I mean, the sheer scale of it is just breathtaking, right? At its peak, this wasn't just a street, it was the bustling heart of a metropolis that absolutely dwarfed any other city in the Americas at the time.
And that brings us to our first huge clue, and our first huge mystery. You see, the name we use today, Teotihuacan, it's not the city's real name. The Aztecs gave it that name like 1,000 years after the city was abandoned. They just stumbled upon these incredible ruins and were so completely awestruck, they figured, well, this must be the birthplace of the gods.
So that's where our investigation really kicks off. We're starting with the most basic question of all. Who were these people, and what in the world did they call their magnificent home?
All right, so just to get our bearings, the ruins are only about 25 miles northeast of modern-day Mexico City. It's pretty wild, you know? You can actually go visit this ancient ghost city sitting right next to this huge, bustling modern capital.
And this is a really fascinating contrast. On one side, you see where it is today, just a neighbor to Mexico City. But the map on the other side, that shows you its ancient world. See, back around 600 CE, Teotihuacan wasn't just a city. It was the hub. It was the center of the Mesoamerican universe, with its influence spreading out for hundreds and hundreds of miles.
Okay, so this brings us back to that whole name game. We know the Aztecs called it Teotihuacan. But get this, Maya hieroglyphs talk about this super powerful city to the north that they called Pu, which means place of reeds. It was kind of their term for any great legendary city, and most experts are pretty sure they were talking about Teotihuacan. So here's the bottom line. We have these names that other people gave it, but the name its own citizens used every day, completely lost to time.
So how on earth does a city with no known name grow into the biggest, most powerful metropolis in the Americas? Let's dig into how this giant actually came to be.
I mean, the city's rise was just unbelievably fast. It all starts around 200 BCE, pretty humble, just a bunch of small villages. But then by 100 CE, boom, they've already finished the massive Pyramid of the Sun. The city just explodes for the next few centuries, hitting its absolute peak between 350 and 650 CE. But look at the end of that timeline. Around 550 CE, something terrible happens, a catastrophe. The city's core is intentionally burned to the ground.
And this chart really shows you that population explosion. The valley goes from just a few thousand people to a city that at its height might have had up to 250,000 residents. Now to put that into perspective for you, that made Teotihuacan the 6th largest city on the entire planet at the time. It was an absolute metropolis, right in the heart of the Americas.
Okay, so for a long time there was this common belief that the Toltecs built Teotihuacan. But well, that's just not right. It was a simple mistake, really. See, the word Toltec in the local language can also just mean great artisan. The actual Toltec civilization, they came along centuries after Teotihuacan was already a ruin. So, if they weren't the Toltecs, who were they? What was daily life actually like for the people we now call the Teotihuacanos?
Well, all the evidence points to this really complex, cosmopolitan society. I mean, we found entire neighborhoods for immigrants from places as far away as Oaxaca and the Gulf Coast. And get this, most people didn't live in single-family houses. They lived in these unique, multi-family apartment compounds. The city was just packed with amazing artists and craftspeople, and its whole economy was built on industry. And yet, for all that sophistication, there is one huge thing missing: a written language. Archaeologists haven't found a single trace of one. It's just another massive mystery.
And this right here shows you their economic power. It's a blade made from obsidian. That's a type of volcanic glass that's actually sharper than a modern surgical scalpel. Teotihuacan controlled all the major obsidian mines in the area, so their workshops were just churning out these incredible tools and weapons. And they traded them all across Mesoamerica. This was the engine that powered their entire economy.
Their art is just as fascinating. Teotihuacan is famous for these incredible stone masks, probably used for funerals. But notice something about them. They're really impersonal.
They're all very similar. This is totally different from, say, Maya art, which is all about celebrating specific individual kings. Here, the art is anonymous. It feels like they were celebrating the city, the system, not the individual. It's like the whole community was more important than any one person.
So, if there wasn't a king at the center of their world, what was? Well, the answer seems to be religion. You find murals like this one everywhere. Many scholars think this is the great goddess, a primary deity for the city. So it looks like religious authority, not a king on a throne, was what really held the entire city together.
And this leads us to maybe the biggest political puzzle of the ancient world. How in the world do you run a massive, influential empire without a king?
I mean, think about it. This is a huge contrast to pretty much every other major civilization back then. The Maya, the Egyptians, their art is all about their kings, celebrating their victories, their family lines. But in Teotihuacan, there's just nothing. No royal tombs, no palaces glorifying a specific ruler, no portraits. The silence on this is just deafening.
So what was going on here? Well, the leading theory is something called collective governance. The idea is that Teotihuacan wasn't run by one all-powerful king. Instead, it was probably ruled by a council, a group of elites from the most powerful families in the city. It's a totally different way of thinking about power, based on shared authority, not one guy at the top calling all the shots.
So you've got this anonymous city, probably ruled by a council, that dominates its corner of the world for centuries. And then, around the year 550, it all comes crashing down. So let's open the case file on what happened.
All right, we've basically got two main suspects. Suspect number one, an internal uprising. The big piece of evidence here is that the destruction was very specific. It wasn't the whole city that was torched, it was the temples and palaces, the homes of the elite, along the Avenue of the Dead, very targeted. But then you have suspect number two, ecological collapse. Skeletons from around this time start showing signs of malnutrition, and this lines up with some major climate events happening worldwide that probably caused a massive drought. And of course, these two theories could easily be connected, right? A terrible famine could absolutely be the spark that ignites a violent rebellion.
And for a long, long time, that's kind of where the story ended. A great mystery. But the investigation into this place is so far from over. In fact, some of the most incredible discoveries are happening literally right now.
It all started back in 2003. A really heavy rainstorm opened up a sinkhole right at the base of the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. So, after years of careful planning, archaeologists sent in a little robot to check it out, and what it found confirmed their absolute wildest dreams. It was the entrance to a tunnel, built by hand, that had been sealed up on purpose almost 1,800 years ago. Since then, they've pulled out over 75,000 priceless artifacts.
And what they found at the end of that tunnel is just mind-blowing. Seriously, the archaeologists found a chamber that was designed to be a symbolic underworld. They found a miniature landscape with tiny mountains, and this is just unbelievable, pools of liquid mercury to represent sacred lakes. It's a sacred map of the cosmos, hidden deep under the pyramid. So what this proves is that even after more than 100 years of digging, we are still just scratching the surface. There are still huge, fundamental secrets waiting to be discovered. It just leaves you wondering, right? What other tunnels, what other tombs, what other answers are still buried down there, waiting beneath the city of the gods?